See, the most important factor we have to remember is that there is going to be a new normal. We can never go back to the old days, at least in the foreseeable future, which means we have to continue with the precautions which we learnt during the lockdown days and ensure that we practice them post-lockdown also. This will include physical distancing. This will include the importance of wearing masks, especially when we are in public places. We need to continue to wash our hands often. We need to avoid taking our hands near the face, especially resist the urge which all of us may have in trying to adjust our masks. So we need to keep our hands away, and as far as possible, if we touch the masks, to wash our hands or use hand rub before we proceed with our other activities. These things are going to stay. And the most important of this is physical distancing. So wherever possible, I think we need to adhere to this so that we can stay healthy. There are a lot of practical issues which we need to learn along the way. I may not have all the answers, but to start with, I think the most important part is to educate the domestic workers as to how they should be so that they are staying safe and they also don't transmit infections in our households. So you need to tell them about the virus, you need to tell them how it spreads, the importance of hand hygiene, the importance of staying physically distanced. When they come to the households for work, it is at least in the initial parts, if there is some way we can ask them questions about whether they are having a fever or a cough or having a feverish feeling, severe body pains, headaches, chills. These should be made routine at least in the first few days so that if they have symptoms, they can tell you, and it is safer probably to send them home rather than keep them at work even if you have a lot of work. The next important thing is for you to tell them about personal hygiene. This will involve including the cough and sneezing etiquette, which means you need to use the crook of your elbow to cough or sneeze. You need to ask them to wash their hands often. You need to tell them that if they are responsible for washing vegetables, if they are responsible for keeping, things in your house in order, they need to wash their hands before they start these tasks. So even by chance, if they are asymptomatic and they are having the virus infection, they do not contaminate surfaces which may put the other members in the house at risk. So these are simple things which you can do, and make sure that you are consistent about ensuring that this happens, because at least for the next few months, we have to go through this. It is mainly the elderly who are at risk of running into complications of this disease. Not only the people over the ages of 60, 65, but also people who may have uncontrolled diabetes, people who may have heart disease, lung disease, and also immunocompromising conditions. These people have a greater risk of running into complications and possibly increased risk of death also. Fortunately, young children and pregnant women still seem to have a mild infection, so we need not worry too much about them, but it is the elderly and people with underlying disease that we need to protect. The best way this can be done is to physically distance them from others. So even if they are living in the same house, I think we need to resist from hugging, especially the grandchildren hugging grandparents, or any form of physical contact should be probably discouraged in the next few weeks to months. Things may change later, but at least at this point, physical distancing and hand washing are probably the most important interventions to ensure that they stay safe. They can go out for walks, but make sure that they don't go out in groups. Even if they are meeting people, if they can wear a mask and ensure others also wear a mask when they speak to each other, at least in close proximity, you can make sure that they stay safe. This is a very difficult question. I think we need to change the current paradigms whereby we are looking at physical distancing in buses and trains also. We may not be able to travel in crowded trains and buses like we used to before, which means there may be legislations whereby you may have only one person sitting and they may limit the number of people who can travel in one bus or in one compartment of a train. So these changes will happen subsequently, but it is each and every person's responsibility to avoid crowding, which means that apart from the question of wearing masks, you also need to ensure that in public commuting, where you are likely to hold the rails, where you are likely to hold the bars to stay steady, you need to make sure that after that you use either alcohol gel to sanitize your hands or go and wash your hands. The most important is to avoid taking the contaminated hands near the face, which may increase the risk of infection. So if we can adhere to these simple process through discipline and habits, we can probably stay safe. The basic tenets remain the same. The new norm, I would like to define it as using the word new as an acronym. N should be for Namaste. We should get away from shaking hands, using fist bumps, high fives, all that should be avoided. Any physical contact should be minimized. Stay at least 3 feet away from anybody else. Always wear a mask in public places and keep a hand sanitizer with you to use it frequently. I think these simple measures will ensure that we stay safe. It is also important to remember that you need to vaccinate yourself against the flu. The flu season will again come in another 2 to 3 months. So every person, including children and adults, need the flu vaccine every year to make sure that at least we can protect us from the flu. Even though the flu vaccine does not protect against the COVID-19, still minimizing the impacts of flu and its complication is feasible through flu vaccine. So please discuss with your doctor to see, apart from your good food, diet, exercise, enough sleep, low stress, all of which can improve your immunity, take the flu vaccines also to stay protected. There is a general fear amongst the public. At this time, people don't want to come to hospitals because they feel that there is COVID in the hospitals and they can get COVID by visiting a hospital. Now, this is a wrong idea. I would say, in fact, most hospitals are actually safe places right now, and the chances of getting COVID is much higher in public places out in the community. All healthcare workers and all hospitals have put in place a reasonable amount of infection control measures to keep both the healthcare workers and the patients safe during times like this. They are the most knowledgeable people in ensuring that you stay safe, and if there is a genuine reason for you to attend a hospital, I think you should. Trying to stay away from hospitals with the fear that you may end up with more harm can actually be detrimental to health, whether it is for a heart-related condition, whether it is for infections, tuberculosis and other conditions, or whether it is for immunization of children. All of these are very important. The crisis will come and go, but we need to maintain preventive measures and interventions to stay healthy. So please do not postpone your visit to hospitals if there is a definite reason that you need to see a doctor or have any intervention done in the hospital now. I think all work should commence in a gradual fashion. The government has already opened up several industries. It is unlikely that places where crowding happens, which include places of worship, which include cinema theaters, malls, restaurants, may take some more time to open up, which means anywhere from 1 to 3 months. But it is inevitable that things will move back to the old times with regard to establishments. But there will be changes. There will be redefining of places of work, redesigning of places of congregation. We will have to change our ways by which we meet people, especially in public places and especially where crowding happens. And this will happen only with evolution of our thinking and how we act. We have gone through and we are likely to go through an unprecedented time of stress and difficulty. The future is very uncertain, and facing this at this point where things are evolving on a daily basis is going to be very difficult. Not only should we bother about our physical well-being, which means ensuring, as I told earlier, a good diet, exercise, good sleep and lowered stress, we also need to take care of our emotional well-being. I strongly advise people not to spend too much time looking at the news, looking at information and which is circulating in the social media, which is very depressing. I've seen several patients who present to me with depression, mood swings, anxiety, all of which have been caused by this crisis. I think we need to have positive thoughts. We need to accept the reality. The Stockdale paradox, which is a very important lesson we can put in place now, mentions that the two ways in which we can get over any time of crisis is an unwavering faith that things will improve and an acceptance, or shall I say the brutal reality, should be accepted. So by doing these two, we can make sure that we are emotionally strong and we take the necessary physical measures, most importantly physical distancing, so that we can get through this crisis and prevail again.